Alright, we've got the 1972 Plymouth Roadrunner 340 numbers matching car. The reason I'm selling it is I bought it a little bit on the rebound. I'd been on the hunt for a lot of years for a 71 Demon 340, my dad's favorite Mopar back in his day. And I had one lined up and buyer sold it to somebody else, so on the rebound I jumped on the Mecum auction and picked this up as similar vintage, same motor, to have something to work with him, because he almost died of liver failure but had a transplant a few years ago, so something to spend time with him. However, as you can see, I ended up with the Demon. Sale fell through, so I'm not gonna justify with my wife to have two Mopars in the garage, so the Roadrunner's up for sale. First off, bumper is typically chrome. As you can see, it's painted here. The grille on this is from a 71. 72 is notoriously hard to find. However, back behind the center section, you can see the honeycomb mesh, which is part of the 72 grille, is in place with the correct mounting brackets. And the headlight bezels on the 72 are reproduction. You can track those down, so with some patience, getting the 72 center section, you'll be in business. Roadrunner hood marker, your 340 on the hood. Very straight with the bodywork that was done on the car. I'll walk you around and show you any blemishes that I'm aware of. The original color for the car, you can see the chin spoiler down here. Original color for the car was petty blue. So this is Limelight in Plymouth, Sublime in Dodge. Previous owner decided to not repaint as petty blue, which is kind of a bummer, but I think it looks very good, super eye-catching. These period Magnum 500 wheels do have some pitting. You can see some rust spots. These are on BFG Redline tires, 14-inch. So overall, lines and gaps are really good on this car. Has the hidden windshield wipers, clean. This is original, it appears. Windshield trim and glass. Good mix of original and reproduction or replace on this car. Oh, hello there! Sport mirrors. There is a little bit of a paint run on this mirror. Here, the door handle, original. You can see the patina that it's got. Chrome trim is all in place. Rear quarter window. There is a bit of a paint blemish here. You can see it did chip off. The door, this is the only place I can see where it looks like there was some body filler. Here on the lower portion of this door. Your Roadrunner decal. The rear wheel, better shape than that front one. Forward of this side, really clean. No door dings, that sort of thing. Appears this work was done on the car and it was immediately put up on the Mecum auction. Rear bumper as well is painted, not chrome. See the Mecum plate. The exhaust tips, these are stencil painted to look like the machine gun tip, so they aren't the true machine gun tip. Apologize for the noise, I live by a busy road. We've got the gas filler here. Body bumpers that I added, it was missing all these body bumpers. Rear window trim, both look very solid. Steady gap around. Walk around passenger side, you get my shadow. You can see that reflective striping. Looks awesome. So similar condition on passenger side. You can see this wheel condition with some of the pitting, kind of light pitting. Passenger side. Similar with that patina on the door handle. There's a little bit more of a gap in the weather stripping here. Weather stripping does not look fresh One other thing is on these rear quarter windows, just the outer cat whiskers are missing. So it's something I've been trying to track down, and it's one of the pandemic casualties that still is not available. So as soon as they are, that's a fairly straightforward add. Sport mirror on the front as well. This door gap, nice and consistent, as well as all the way back and front wheel. So really the front driver's wheel is in the worst shape. The other three are actually pretty good. OER extended mast antenna, and we're back around front. So we'll go under the hood and give you the inside. I was expecting just to get this from Mecum and sell it without needing to dig in, but there were some things that I did, some progress. So it is 340 numbers matching on the block, the transmission, the radiator support, fender tag. You can see on the radiator support here, 213143. We do have the Voice of Roadrunner horn that I added up here. The windshield washer system was non-existent, so we've got the reproduction canister, pump, factory wiring, and then you can see the tubing running up to the butterfly valve up here on the underside of the hood, and the nozzles in place. Those were not there when I got it. Battery strap wasn't there either, so I got the correct battery strap. Through some of the wiring, the typical issues or common issues with these, with the ammeter that is part of the instrument cluster, is for there to be a lot of corrosion or heat and to have that system fail. This car was no exception, so I did a partial ammeter delete. So what I mean partial is I ran the charge wire off the alternator, and instead of going through the bulkhead, it goes now directly to the starter relay. So the loop for charging the battery is within the engine compartment. It is connected with the correct fusible links, you can see here. And then the hot, which was just the red wire initially that went through the firewall to the ammeter, and then the black wire from the alternator that went through a splice into the fuse block and then to the other side of the ammeter. Now that red wire and the black just loop together right down here and are still connected to the ammeter. So the ammeter is replaced. It was in bad shape. So the ammeter is replaced in the loop for that. So it's just looped from the connection here through the ammeter. That's why I say partial delete. The full delete is to disconnect the ammeter completely and connect the red and black behind the dash, bypassing the ammeter altogether. So that's next step if you wish. Ammeter will show a draw of current, but of course no charge. It is a power steering car. See the steering box, power steering pump, clutch fan, factory electronic ignition, 2-speed wiper. One thing to note for the clever eyes, one thing that was replaced on this car was the upper cowl. And as I was getting cowl screens, since it did not have any, I found out that they had replaced the upper cowl with one from an E body instead of a B body. Now the difference being, you can see these cowl screens have some elevation change, whereas with the true B body cowl, upper cowl, it's flat. So that's what tipped me off. And then also the corners of the upper cowl and the B body have a bit of a chamfer right here versus squared off. So we have the E body cowl screens. Did add the cowl to hood seal. And then the other issue that came from that was the wiper system. So the wiper motor is in the same location between E and B body, as well as the driver or left wiper pivot. The difference is the passenger pivot So if you look at that windshield trim, where that semicircle opening is, that is where the pivot for the passenger would be on the B-body. You can see, if I get a little closer, that the center mark for that pivot is about 3/4 inch farther away. So as I was diagnosing this, I replaced the main transmission arm and the connecting transmission arm for the wiper system. So they are matching from an E-body. And while I was under there, can't see really through the cowl screen, but down underneath where the cam assembly is off the wiper motor, that has all been reworked and functioning great. Needed to replace the wave washer or spring washer, neighbors, and the cam system refurbed, covered with the boot and correct clip. So underneath the cowl, it's set up correctly and has the E-body arms between the motor and driver pivot and passenger pivot. So you got the fender tag here, the RM23 H2R 213143. See the VIN RM23, the H2 for the 340 72, and then 213143. Now let's go inside. Interior was refreshed with prior owner, and the work dated. There's a mix of original and reproduction replacement in here. Things like the body bumpers I added, but this upper and lower piece, fresh. Seats appear to be the reupholstered original frames, front and rear. The headrests appear to be original, the hardware, etc., but reupholstered. This Plymouth badging, original, you can see some patina on there. Did not have seat belts when I got it, so it has 6 basic lap belts, no retractors, and no 3-point. New headliner. Deck. No rear speakers. Get to that in a moment. Then in the rear, super clean, brand new carpet. Interior is very fresh. Non-AC car. Driver's side fresh air vent was not installed right, so I got that installed in the right place. It was missing the passenger fresh air vent, so that's a new reproduction. Got your ashtray, cigarette lighter. Cigarette lighter is functional. AM radio is functional. Doesn't quite hit all the bands, or all the frequencies rather, but is functional. Reproduction knobs they were missing. Got your temp gauge, the alternator ammeter, that's the gauge that's replaced. Oil pressure fuel gauge. Did replace the fuel sending unit from year 1. Ground strap was not functioning. The float was corroded through and was sunk, so replaced the sending unit. The 150 mile/hour speedo showing 0-8,000 miles, presuming 108,000. Don't know 100%, but makes sense. Your lights, 2-speed wiper, and then your heat. Foot parking brake release, high beam. Steering wheel, 3-spoke. You've got your Roadrunner centerpiece. Alright, we'll start it up. You can get a sense for what a cold start. Starts right up. Alright, to show you the trunk. So trunk floor pan or trunk pan was replaced from what I can tell, and I'll show you what I think fender-wise was repaired from what my amateur self can tell. It does not have the spare tire hook set up, and of course no spare and jack, as you can see. Pull this mat up. You can see the work on the trunk floor. Missing body plugs. Looks like it could use a set of the rubber body plugs. Okay, so back here looks like this quarter. To me, it looks like it was replaced from here down. When you're outside, you can see, if you're looking super close, just a hair. It's really hard to see on this. It also points to quarter panel replacement up at this level. Show you the other side. Trunk floor. Here's this quarter was only replaced very lower, down below here. You can see some of the overspray of the original Petty Blue. The other hidden VIN that I did not track down on the trunk lining, I'm assuming is correct, but I haven't peeled the weather stripping to see it. You can see the condition of the trunk rails does appear original. You can see the original overspray. So without digging deeper to confirm that, that's my best guess. So there's your trunk, underside of the trunk lid. So there are some spots where you can see the original paint peek through on the corner. Bumpers that I added. Show you around the passenger door. Some of that original paint sneak through. Not the best of paint jobs in some of the detailed places like that, but overall sharp looking car, sharp color. You can see this door does not have body filler like the driver apparently does, and you've got upper and lower on the door. And view in from passenger side. Some other paint details. You know, this front clip, you can see has a little bit of paint crack there. Might have some filler on it, can't be sure. There's a lot of dried wax on it from a pretty hurried wax job in a lot of the cracks. I guess the flip side of seeing the original paint in here is, you know, it's likely an original front clip. But overall, very sturdy. Not the best paint prep, unfortunately, but solid piece up front. And I think that's mostly it. In the hinges, you can see original paint. Go up the side of the hood. Front. There are some bubbles in the stickers. You can probably work out at some of them out. Overall, straight car, drives really smooth. Just needs a place to live. One other spot I did notice, right here on that body line, it's catching just a hair when it opens and closes. So there you go. There's a walk around of the 72 Plymouth Roadrunner 340 numbers car. Any questions, feel free to shout in the comments. Also look below for the links to where the ad is listed in a couple different places for where the price is at currently.